Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to make another flower. Today is going to be a rose. This project is so much fun. It's so easy, and if you're not competent working in the round yet, if that's not your strength, this flower is the one for you. It's worked flat, and then we use a drawstring to turn it into this adorable rose. For this project, you're going to need 3 different colors of yarn. I'm going to be using pale pink, this sort of purpley pink, and then green. You could use any 3 colors. There's going to be a middle color that you won't really see. That's what I'm going to be doing in green. Then there's this middle color for the center of the petal. That's what I'm going to be using my mauve purple for. And then there's the edge stitch, which I'm going to be using this adorable baby pink for. You'll also need a crochet hook. I'm going to be using a 3mm hook today. You'll also need some scissors, as well as a yarn needle to weave in your ends and to do the drawstring portion of the rose. So gather your supplies and let's jump in. Working with the green yarn, I'm going to start with a slip stitch. The slip stitch though should have a long tail on the end of the work, so this is not going to be long enough. So I'm going to create a tail that's maybe 6 or 7 inches long. Then I'll make a slip stitch. From here, we're going to do a chain of 20. For this project, if you want to make your rose have more petals than mine, you just need to increase in even numbers. So it doesn't matter how long your chain is, just make sure it's an even number. I'm going to start with 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 18, 19, and 20. And there we go. Your initial chain should be anywhere from 3.5 to 4 inches long. For row number 1, we're going to start with a single crochet in the second chain from the hook. 1 and 2, we're going to do a single crochet there. Then chain 1. Then skip the next chain stitch, and in the following chain stitch, do a single crochet. Then chain 1. Then skip 1, then single crochet in the next chain stitch. And we're going to repeat that all the way across for row number 1. Chain 1, skip 1, single crochet. Chain 1, skip 1, single crochet. I'll meet you at the end of row number 1 to show you what we're going to do next. Here I am coming up to the end of the first row. I did a single crochet. Here's my last chain 1, skip 1, and then my final single crochet will be in the last chain of the row. This is why you need to keep your row as even numbers. But I'm going to finish this row with both my new color and this old green. So I'm going to cut my tail here because we're done with the green now. It was just that first row. And I'm going to transition into the purpley pink. And I'm going to do that by completing my single crochet with my new color. So I'll show you what I mean. There's my single crochet chain 1. Now my final single crochet, I'll insert the hook into the stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, and then I'm going to drop the green, and with the purpley pink, I will yarn over and pull through both of those loops. That finishes the stitch with my purpley pink yarn. Then I can pull on the green, and I'm actually going to tie a knot with these 2 green tails just to keep that stitch nice and tight. Now for row number 2, we're going to start with a chain of 1, and then we're going to turn the work around. In our first single crochet here, we're just going to put a regular single crochet. And now we're at one of those chain 1 spaces. They're not super obvious, but you'll see them when you pull apart your single crochets. In that chain 1 space, we're going to do 4 double crochets. So yarn over, insert the hook into the chain 1 space, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2 of those loops, there will be 2 loops left on the hook, yarn over, pull through the remaining 2 loops, just like that. And we're going to do a total of 4 of them in that chain 1 space. So there's 2, there's 3, and there's 4. And now the next stitch is our single crochet here. In between those chain spaces, there's a single crochet. So in that space, we're going to put a single crochet, And then we're back at another chain 1 space. In that chain 1 space, we're going to put another 4 double crochets. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we're back at a single crochet. I'm going to put a single crochet in that spot. And for the rest of this row, it's going to be every time you come up to a single crochet, you put in a single crochet. Every time you come up to a chain 1 space, you put 4 double crochet stitches into that space. I'm going to repeat that all the way across for row number 2, and I'll meet you at the end of row number 2 to show you what we're going to do next. Here I am coming up to the end of row number 2. I've got 4 double crochets left in that chain 1 space. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now in the last stitch of the row, we're going to put a single crochet in there. I'd have to just sort of pull on that, and we'll put a single crochet. Now for row number 3, we're going to start with a chain of 1, and then we're going to turn the work. In that first single crochet, we're going to put a single crochet. Now we are going to be in that section of double crochets. In the first one, we'll put a single crochet. Then in the next 2 stitches, which will be double crochets, we're going to put 2 double crochets in each of those stitches. There's 1, and there's 2. Now in the following stitch, 2 double crochets. There's 1, and there's 2. And then in the next 3 stitches, it'll be a double crochet, single crochet, double crochet. In those 3 stitches, we're going to do single crochets only. So 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets, 3 single crochets. And now we're back at a spot where we're going to do doubles. So the next 2 stitches, double crochet 2 times in each stitch. So there's 1 and 2. And now in the next stitch, 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. And then in the next 3 stitches, we're going to do single crochets in each. There's 1, 2, and 3. And then in the next 2 stitches, 2 double crochets in each. There's 1, and there's 2. And in the next stitch, there's 1, and there's 2. So in each set of 4 double crochets from the previous row, it's going to be single crochet, 2 double crochet, 2 double crochet, single crochet. And then the single crochets between each set of 4 double crochets will be single crochets also. So repeat that, 3 single crochets, 2 double crochets in the next 2 stitches, 3 single crochets, 2 double crochets in each of the next 2 stitches, all the way across. And I'll meet you at the end of row number 3 to show you what we're going to do next. Here I am coming up to the end of row number 3, just doing my last 2 sets of double crochets. So there's the first and there's the second. And then I have 2 stitches left, one of them being a double crochet stitch that will receive a single crochet, and then the last stitch of the row, which is a single crochet, and we're going to be doing a single crochet into that stitch. That last one is going to be super snug. There we go. But I'm going to switch colors in my yarn now, so I'm going to trim that purpley pink, and we're going to switch into this soft bubblegum baby pink. And to do that, I'm going to start my single crochet, insert the hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then drop the old yarn, put the new yarn in, and finish that single crochet with the new yarn. Now, to keep that stitch tight, I'm gonna tie a knot with the 2 tails, the pink tail and the sort of purpley tail. I'm just gonna tie them together to keep the stitch tight so that we don't have to worry about that coming loose. Now for row number 4, we're gonna start with a chain of 1, and then I'm gonna turn the work. For this first petal, which is going to include a single crochet, 2 double crochets, 2 double crochets, and a single crochet, that entire first petal, I'm just going to single crochet across it. This is gonna be the middle part of our rows, so I don't want this petal to get any bigger. I want this one to stay a little bit smaller than the others because this one is going to be kind of curled up on itself. So I'm just gonna single crochet crochet across that first petal until I get to the single crochet in the middle in the space between the two. All right, there. That first petal is now single crocheted. Now, for the next petal, I'm going to do a single crochet for the first single crochet stitch. Then there's another single crochet stitch. I'll put a single crochet in there. And now we're at double crochet stitches. So now in the first double crochet stitch, I'm going to put 1 double crochet. In the second double crochet stitch, I'm going to put 2 double crochets. There's 1, and there's 2. In the third double crochet stitch, I'm going to put 2 double crochets. There's 1, and there's 2. And in the fourth double crochet stitch, I'm going to put 1 double crochet. And you can see that has flared out that petal a little bit more. So we have single crochet, double crochet, 2 double crochets, 2 double crochets, double crochet, and then single crochet. Now, in the single crochet that separates the 2 petals, so we have our single crochet here and our single crochet here. There's 1 in between. In that single crochet, I'm going to do a slip stitch because we don't want to add any height there. Now we're back at another petal. So in the first single crochet stitch, we will put 1 single crochet. In the first double crochet stitch, we'll put 1 double crochet. In the second double crochet stitch, we'll put 2 double crochets. There's 1, and there's 2. In the third double crochet stitch, we'll put 2 double crochets. There's 1, and there's 2. And in the fourth double crochet stitch, we'll put 1 double crochet. And there is 1 double crochet. And then in the single crochet, we put a single crochet. In the next single crochet, we put a slip stitch. In the next single crochet, we put a single crochet. And then we're at a double crochet, so we'll do 1 double crochet. In the next double crochet, we'll put 2 double crochets. There's 1, and there's 2. In the third double crochet, we'll put 2 double crochets. There's 1, and there's 2. And in the fourth double crochet, 1 double crochet. And we're going to repeat that all the way across for row number 4. At the end of row number 4, you can already see it wants to twist on itself. So right now it's this ruffle. In the end, we're going to be twisting it around on itself to make it into a flower, and it's already sort of getting that shape. Let's move on to row number 5. For row number 5, we're going to end with our single crochets at the end of the row. We'll have 2 single crochets at the end of row number 4. There's 1, and there's 2. And we're going to start row number 5 with a chain of 1. For row number 5, I'm going to single crochet into the first 2 stitches. There's 1, and there's 2. And when we get to the double crochets, I'm going to be putting 2 double crochets in each stitch all the way across. So we're going to put 2 double crochets in each double crochet stitch rather. So not in each stitch, in each double crochet. Every time we come to single crochets, we're just going to put single crochets in there. If we come up to a slip stitch, we'll put a slip stitch there. But in all the double crochets, we're going to put 2 double crochets in. This is going to expand out our petals and create a little bit of a ruffled edge for our roses. So you can see I've got 2 double crochets, 2 double crochets, 2, 2, and here's my second last double crochet of this set. So we'll put 2 double crochets here, 1 and 2. Then we're at the last double crochet of the set. So I will put 2 double crochets in that spot as well. Second last double crochet of this set. So we'll put 2 double crochets here, 1 and 2. And then we're at the last double crochet of the set. So I will put 2 double crochets in that spot as well. And then we get to a single crochet here. We'll just put a single crochet in. And then the next stitch is a slip stitch. This one's going to be a little bit snug, but it'll fit. Just get her insert the hook into that slip stitch, do a slip stitch in that spot. Now our next stitch is a single crochet again, so single crochet in there, and now we're back at double crochets. And in the double crochets, I'm going to be putting 2 double crochets in each double crochet stitch. 1 and 2. And I'm going to be repeating that all the way across for row number 5. 2 double crochets in every double crochet stitch, a single crochet in every single crochet stitch, and a slip stitch in every slip stitch. That's going to have the petals get a little bit taller while not increasing the space between the petals too much. So I'm going to just zoom through the rest of row number 5 because it's just a repeat of the same thing for every single petal, and I'll see you at the end of row number 5 to show you what we're going to do next. Alright, I'm coming up to my last petal for my rose here, and on the last petal, if you'll remember, we started the row with just single crochets. So I did my 2 double crochets. I have 2 more double crochets in this last one. There's 1 and there's 2. And now we move into single crochets. So these single crochets that we started the row with, we're also going to be finishing the row with single crochets. So I'm just going to do 1 single crochet in each of these single crochets to the end of the row. Now I'm here at the end of row number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. I'm here at the end of row number 5. I'm going to put my last single crochet stitch into the last stitch of the row, and then I'm not going to chain 1. I'm just going to turn the work around. And now you can see our first petal is small, and then we've got our second petal. So now for this next row, for row number 6, we're going to do slip stitches for the first petal, single crochets for the second petal. So we're going to work all the way up to this point, slip stitches for the first one up to here. So that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 slip stitches. And then we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 single crochets. So 8 slip stitches, 14 single crochets. Slip stitch into the first stitch and just slip stitch across. This is going to help us not increase the height of that first petal. And there's the first one. Now we're at the second one. I'm going to do 1 single crochet in each one. And there we go. So there's our first petal, our second petal, and now we're going to be working a ruffle for the rest of them. So for this ruffle, we're going to be doing it with single crochets. Right here, we're at a slip stitch. In the slip stitch, we'll try to do a slip stitch. It's going to be super snug, but that's okay. Just do a slip stitch into the slip stitch. And then in that first single crochet, we'll put 1 single crochet. Now in all of these double crochets, we're going to put 2 single crochets in each double crochet all the way across. So every time you come up to a double crochet, you put 2 single crochets in that space. Every time you come up to a single crochet, you put 1 single crochet in that space. And every time you come up to a slip stitch, you put in a slip stitch. By putting those 2 single crochets at the edge, it's going to increase the outer edge of the petal, which will create a little bit of a ripple, a little bit of a ruffle. Nothing too crazy. We want it to look rose-like, so we don't want it to be too ruffly, but 2 single crochets in each double crochet across. Every time you come up, like I said, to a single crochet, you do 1 single crochet in that stitch, and every time you come up to a slip stitch, you put a slip stitch in there. I'm going to repeat that all the way across, and I'll meet you at the end of row number 6 to show you what we're going to do to finish off this rose. All right, here I am coming up to the end of that row, and let me tell you, this took a lot longer than I was expecting. It makes sense, it's 2 stitches per stitch, so the row took a lot longer. If yours is taking forever, or if it feels like it is, just know that same. So I'm actually at the last stitch of the row now. I'm gonna put my last single crochet in, and that's actually going to be it for our crochet portion. You can see the petals now. We've got the green inner part, then we've got the shell shape or the fan shape, and then it kind of ruffles out. You can see it's just a little bit wider than, like, it doesn't want to sit exactly flat. It kind of wants to ripple at the edge, and that's good. That'll make it look more natural as a flower petal. And you can see if we were to hold that row straight, it's like a very aggressive ruffle, but we're going to be doing something to make it look like a rose. So I'm going to finish this by cutting my yarn and pulling that last stitch through. And now it's time to turn it into a rose. So to turn this into a rose, we're going to thread up the yarn needle with that long tail that we left at the beginning of the work with the green yarn. From here, we're going to put all the other tails aside. Don't worry, we'll be getting rid of them later. And now what we're gonna do is we're going to weave this tail up and down through the space where the petals come out and the space in between them. So we're coming down through the stitch, up where the petal comes out, down through the stitch, up where the petal comes out, down through the next stitch, up where the petal comes out. And we're gonna do that all the way across the row. And you can pull your thread through bit by bit if that makes it easier. There we go. And then I'll just come down through that last stitch, and then we're going to pull this tail that we've got here. But before we pull it, we're gonna twist our petals around each other. So we're going to grab that inner petal, the one that has the slip stitches and is a lot smaller. We're gonna twist that into a spiral. And then we're gonna pull the flower, twisting the whole thing into a spiral just like this, just so that everything is in the correct order before we pull that tail really tight. Then we're gonna take that green tail with the needle attached and we're going to pull on it just to get everything really, really snug up against itself. It's already starting to look more like a rose. So here's what it's looking like when we've just pulled on that drawstring. What I like to do is sort of negotiate the petals around in order to make sure that they're offset from one another. We want them to be one petal kind of offset center from each other. It makes it look more full. So you can see there's a petal here, and now we want this petal behind it until we run out of petals essentially, which is right about there. And then I'll just pull on that tail one more time. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to insert the needle up through the work, through the center of that rose. So that's the green tail. And then I'm gonna go back down, just over a little bit, but back down through the whole work. And that's just going to kind of secure our petals where we've inserted that stitch. And then I'm gonna grab the other green tail at this point, and I'm going to tie it to the one with the needle. Really nice and tight, tying a knot, just like that. And then I'm gonna trim those tails down. And now we're gonna go with the last tail here, the pale pink tail. And I'm gonna use that to just sort of stitch down my petals around the flower. So we've got this last petal here. I want this one to kind of tuck in like that. Instead of be sitting out, we want it to kind of tuck in. So to do that, I'm gonna insert the needle right down through the center of the flower again, have it come up through the center, and then I'll just pull on that tail, and that will force the petal to sort of curve down. You can see right now they're flat. We're gonna end up holding them upright, so don't worry about that. Then the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of curve these starting petals. So to do that, I'm going to start by separating the first petal and the second petal. I'm gonna insert my needle up through the petal, right in between the two. And I'm gonna pull it down into the center of the rose. And then I'm going to grab a stitch in the center of the rose, just like that. Then I'll grab the stitch in the middle of the second petal and the third petal, and I'll pull that down towards the center. And that's just gonna create more of a rose shape here. And then I'll grab the third one, the space between the third and the fourth, and I'm gonna pull that one in towards the center also. And I just need to grab a stitch at the bottom of the rose like that. And there we go. And this is just gonna create that middle section that's in the middle of a rose, so that it looks a little bit more, I don't know, tight like the center. We like the rose to have that center sort of pucker. And I'll just do that on as many of the petals as feels right before we're, getting the rose feeling that I like. You don't really have to do this section. You can just sort of force it with your hands to do that without grabbing onto stitches. I just like doing it this way because it adds just a little bit of extra texture to the rose. And then you can flip out the petals You have choices if you do it this way. But again, you don't have to. It is an extra step that's not really necessary, but I like it. And then once I've decided it's good, I'll just take that tail and bring it back down to the bottom of the work, and then I'll tie it to the remaining tails, just tying a nice tight knot, just like that. Then I'll trim those tails, and then I'll take a second to just sort of mush around these petals so that they look the way that I want them to look. Around the center, squish that up like that. Then we can open up the outer petals. And guess what, friends? Just like that, we've done it. We've made a beautiful rose. You can see we've got the tight petals in the middle. Now you can see by doing that smaller petal at the beginning and then doing one with none of the increases, we end up with that tight center that is reminiscent of a rose. And then the inner petals curve in. And then as they go out, you can curve them outwards so that it looks like a rose that is in the process of opening. By doing that little bit of extra single crochets around the last row, we end up with a little bit of a ruffle that just sort of helps the petal flip out. I think this came out just gorgeous. I'm kind of obsessed with this. I think this was such a fun and easy project, and you get a cute, pretty accurate looking rose. Honestly, look at that. You can't really see the green, so really you could pick any color for that center part, but how sweet is this rose? But friends, what do you think? Are you gonna be making a rose to add to your flower crown? We have quite a few in our flower repertoire at this point. If you want to check out any of the other flowers I've already shown, check out the links in the description box down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, and thank you to everyone who is supporting the channel right now. Here is the list of channel supporters. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate you. If you want to support the channel, check out the links in the description down below. All the ways to support will be listed down there. Anyways, friends, that's all I've got for you today. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye!